Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A one-item agenda, referendum ballot. Referendum items, I guess I should say. You've been working on it, so fill me in.
We got the draft, right? So
Yeah.
the only thing that one thing that's not on here is Maple Estates.
I know, I wrote that down here.
Me too.
Right, remember.
I just realized that. There's a possible another petition out there, but right now there's not in. There was another one on the next to last page where I didn't update the dates. Laura had mentioned that.
Oh, geez, yes, and I didn't look.
So I looked, but I don't know.
I think the 16th was good, right?
Well, so October 16th is of 19.
Right, and that's on a Tuesday, right?
No, I think that's a Wednesday.
Oh, well, that is.
That's right.
Okay,
So I made it the 15th. Right. So that one here is 16th is a Wednesday.
Okay, then we can't have that.
So I changed that one to the 15th.
Yes.
The 16th of
April 2020.
Right, I looked at that. What was that? Calendar.
I gather we're talking about number 34.
Jump in the
Yes,
future.
yes, we are.
So the 15th is a Wednesday. Of April 15th is a Wednesday. April 16th is a Thursday.
Then I would go,
So it could, so April 16th. So keep that the same, right?
except for 2020, not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
The October is 15th.
yes,
Yep.
because that's a Tuesday,
So
right?
October 15 of 2019 to April 16 of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then interest, I changed the interest appropriately. The next thing to those dates too.
Oh, 16.
So it'll be after the 15th and after the 16th.
Yep.
So the question, the dates and the question itself must be changed then.
Yep. To 2019 to 2020. Yep. The July to June. Yes. Did you see the response we got back from MMA on the Legion's petition?
Yes.
Is that considered a money petition?
No, because they want us to give it to them, right?
Or
Is that what
is
it
it selling
says?
to them for a buck? I don't know.
Personally, I don't think we should make a recommendation because it's a citizen's petition. I mean, I don't know, I gotta read it again, I only kind of read it quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on those, and I partly agree with you on that. But then, if the residents are looking for any kind of guidance, because we kind of know that we kind of are supposed to know the town, supposed to understand. We have a quote unquote inside knowledge that a lot of residents don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Then does that help provide guidance? I don't know. So I can see it both sides.
I don't know.
The problem is that with the citizens petition, there's not a lot of, well, I suppose we bring it up during the public hearing, correct? Right, so there'll be discussion then, hopefully.
Plus, there's a lot of stuff written there, so it's like,
Yep.
I tend to agree with the fact I don't like making recommendations on citizen petitions.
Right.
Um,
And we didn't on the last couple, so I mean, that would be consistent with what we've done in the past.
I think it'd be best to keep it that way.
But if it was a money one, I think we still would need the budget committee to,
well, we can talk to them about that.
I just don't know whether this is really considered money. That's amount of, for consideration in the amount of $1.
Which strikes me odd because they're not really taking possession of the building. They're,
Don't they want to?
Oh, yeah, they take
They
possession.
want
see
possession.
what you get, whatever that word is, that it's gonna come back to, so they don't use it anymore.
No.
No,
No, it doesn't. They can then give it to somebody else.
Provided it's the same, if I read that correctly. So like the fire department type thing. Usually.
Unless the proposed is succeeded or assigned to a veterans organization with similar purposes, in which case said reversion will not apply. Unless it's succeeded or assigned. So again, do we get assigned to the Sanford Legion or whatever? Do we get assigned to the Rochester one?
Right, but
In which case then ownership would transfer to that entity.
they can't just decide to tear the building down type thing.
Said, or assigned to a veterans organization with similar purposes. So it doesn't even say a veterans organization, it doesn't even say a nonprofit. It's a veterans organization. So you could be a club of veterans and say you're the veterans whatever, and that arguably would be, now I'm not saying that they would do that, but that's the problem with this kind of legal stuff is it's not. It's wide open to interpretation.
it's kind of how we live in Lebanon.
So I just,
Just saying. That's very complicated. I know I read whatever they said, but I find that very complicated, the whole thing, when you read it. It's like,
and there's nothing in here that says that the building remains. Just saying. You're doing property, you're doing a deed.
we have to do a deed.
No, it says release, you're doing a release deed for that map lot. There's nothing in there that says the building has to stay.
Okay.
The property would revert back. Without a building, it's the property. So they could tear that down and put something else in its place. Something that says that they can't do that. So I'm just, again, there's no assurance, there's nothing there, there's nothing in this that legally binds them to keep. And again, I'm not saying that's their intention at all, because I don't know what their intention are.
Did they ever come here and talk about that or no? Okay, I didn't know if I missed
Not that I
something.
remember, no. But if they try to look to see what it would cost to refurbish it and to winterize it and all that kind of stuff and realize it's gonna cost $500,000 versus $300,000 to demolish it and build a new place, you know, because arguably that's probably closer to the truth. To try to refurbish older buildings, to try to keep them intact, tends to be a lot more expensive. Just because of how they're built and how they're designed and how they're, what you have to do and all sorts of stuff. Rather than just taking a bulldozer and tearing the place up and just starting from scratch again. And I get it, I'm not saying that that's, I don't know what their intentions are, I don't know, you know, I think my guess is their intention is to try to figure out a way to use the current building. But again, this question doesn't. So. But I don't know, so again, that doesn't really matter. I mean, so I mean, I don't know whether we're selling the property for $1 or whether we're selling it for 0, is it still money? So that still gets, I don't know.
Well, we could say no recommendation. I mean, that's still a recommendation.
Right. No, I mean by budget committee, is there where are we mandated? Do you know what mandates the budget committee to vote on certain things versus not on other things? Is that state or is that something that we passed at one point?
Oh, God, no, it's a state thing. It's a state thing. But we can move on and I'll look for it.
There's some money coming in, money going.
I'm just wondering what the wording is. Well, expenses is money going up. Did you have any other questions on items?
Cemeteries not on there.
Huh?
Cemeteries.
I wrote that too.
Oh, good call.
I was like thinking of things and jotting it down.
Yeah.
I wrote the Maple Estates down here, I wrote the cemetery up here, and then I wrote the fire station, but I don't know that that's East Lebanon, or is that something we're gonna do out of our building thing? I just.
Oh, as far as cost to
fix it.
We have money in the building thing to do that, I think.
Oh, okay, that's why I just put that there, because we gotta do something, obviously.
Yep.
I'll keep looking for this.
The lights are on there, I saw that, so I can check that one out. Town manager plan I checked out, sure I had that one. Do we know where we stand with Maple Estates right now?
No. No, I don't. I don't know where, you saw the response I had to Aaron. I haven't seen anything back from that. He didn't reply to it at all. My understanding is on the agenda, is that correct?
Yeah.
That's when I last I heard.
For Thursday or whatever, so, maybe we'll hear something then. I don't know why, so no, I have nothing new.
Okay.
My response back to him through email was the last thing I've heard. We really probably need to do a letter, which we talked about, which I mentioned, that the attorney has said is basically giving him a certain timeline to do this with his attorneys, otherwise we're gonna move ahead. Not with his attorneys, with his engineer.
We've already done it, have we already done the letter?
So this is where we're at. We're essentially, it's in our hands. We could continue, and go out and get some bids for engineers reports and put one out there. And then what happens if I think we need to be clear on whether we're going to allow him to do anything else or we're going to take it over. So by opening up the discussion with him, in a way, that door was opened again. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because we can't have him do an engineer's report, have him get a person getting ready to do an engineer while we're doing the same thing. That's not fair.
Well, no.
Because all of a sudden we set the engineer to be up there and it happened to be the same day, and now you got 2 engineer firms, and you know what I'm saying, so.
Right.
So we need to be clear with him that either we're taking it over, the completion of the project, with his funds, and tell him what we're doing, and then we have to do it properly. We can't just waste of money. We have to, you get a couple engineering firms to give you a cost to do it, what we need.
But we'll make the deadline.
I think we can.
So, yes, and so this is the thing, is if we're in control, the deadline to put, the biggest thing is the roads. We don't have to do a formal engineer bid, we just need to we can call a couple of engineering firms and see who can do it, and then we get them to go out there and do it. That shouldn't take that long. My guess is the road was done correctly, as far as the thickness of the road. If it wasn't, then that's a game stopper.
Well, it's just the top part, correct? Because the other stuff has already been signed off on.
So you have a composition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that was correct. I mean, Dayton, I'm sure that was probably within specs. And then you have the depth, is my guess. I'm not a road guy. I'm assuming those are really the two things that we're looking at for the top coat. Assuming that everything else was correct.
Well, isn't everything else already been signed off on?
Well, we have the engineer's report, I'm assuming.
From the first part.
From the first part.
So all we need one on is the top coat.
That's correct, and I'm assuming those were correct. I don't know from the planning board whether those are correct.
Well, they must have been. Well, they would have said something.
I would have thought so, correct.
So
again, and I'm assuming the depth was correct. I don't know that, and that's why we need an engineer to tell us that.
Well, it says he has to have an engineer.
They drill a core, or whatever they do to figure out what the depth is. Maybe they do it in a couple of spots and then they sign off on it.
Yeah, I don't.
So that's a pretty simple, they can do that, doesn't matter how cold it is. They can do that. Because that's the game stopper. If it's a half an inch short,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to have the whole thing redone with another inch or whatever. That's the game stopper. But if that is correct, putting signs in, doing street lights, if we're in control of the funds and doing it, then we can get that done.
Correct.
Even though it's on a ballot, we can make sure it gets done because we're in control of that. We can make sure that gets done before the June vote. Because you can do it in April. Ground will be thawed out in April. If we're not in control of that, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Which is why we didn't do it the last time, because we were in no control. So if we're waiting on Aaron to do it, or somebody else to do it, we're not in control.
Correct.
Correct.
Whether it be the residents, or whether it be Aaron, or whether it be just them saying,
Okay.
then I don't think we can put it on the ballot, because we're not in control.
If we're in control, we can.
As
long as that top coat, which I'm sure it is, I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
I would think we could, instead of dragging this out another, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically gonna listen to him on Thursday and then
Yeah.
issue another letter for 7 days?
Well, again, this is a meeting, we can make a motion and we can have a letter written up and give it to him on Thursday when he's here. It's however the board wants to do it, I think. If we wanna give him one last chance to get it done, we can do that. But again, we're running out of time, right?
Correct.
So he's had plenty of time, he's had plenty of notices, he's had plenty of, he yells at me or whatever that we say things or do things and he needs a response and I respond and I get nothing back, so I have no idea. There's no communications and you'll have no communications for a month and then you'll have a blast of communications and then nothing. So I don't know. All I'm saying is that, in a way, the door was opened. We're trying to give him an explanation of what was needed. So therefore, maybe we should have just said, or I should have just said, or whatever, that, hey, we're doing it.
Do you have the copy of the last letter that was sent? Did that come from your computer?
Was that from us or from the planning
Well,
board?
that was from the planning board.
It's from the planning
When the
board.
last letter was sent, it was from the planning board?
I believe so, because she said,
And the time requirement ended up, and
Yeah.
then she turned it over to us.
yeah,
Okay.
And then we reached out to the attorneys to find out how should we proceed.
that's right.
And part of it was to go out and get a couple of estimates on the engineering, and then all of a sudden we heard from Aaron. Because we must have talked about it during a meeting, somebody must have informed him, so all of a sudden now he reached out to say, oh, what do I need to do? So, he called me on the phone, I explained to him, this is what, so. And again, he didn't understand, then he came back with more questions after he talked to a different engineer, and that's when I replied to him.
Isn't it in the planning board regulations?
Yes, and I gave him a link of where that was, so, and then I've heard nothing. We can not do a letter, we can plan to inform him, verbally on Thursday, and then follow it up with a letter. I mean, again, it's however you guys wanna do it.
Well, I want it done, so
I mean, I think the residents have been jerked around long enough down there. I think we need to stand strong and just say we're gonna get it done. Because I'm not sure we can rely on anybody else. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it gets delayed until November or whatever. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
So.
And we can do it. We found that out, right? We can do it, so.
Yep.
Let me see if I can draft a letter and make it a March 31st
Deadline for him?
deadline for him.
Okay.
Oh, we're taking over.
Okay.
I mean, we could probably take over everything else except the engineer part anyway, right? Is that the plan, or we're gonna let him do everything?
No, let him do it. But again, I mean, the engineer part is the biggest thing.
It
Because
But it has to be done by March 31st or
we
else.
need to know that for the ballot. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. All the other stuff can get done
Yeah.
by anybody in time.
I agree.
So I mean, you could say, March 31st for that, you could say April 15th for everything else.
Well,
Ground ought to be thawed enough in time by April 15th to pound some, and again, I think you can put signs in even when the ground's frozen. If they have pneumatics or whatever, they can put signs in, and streetlights they can do anytime.
well, the street light, aren't we gonna have to do that anyway?
Yeah, I mean, well, we can let him know about Affinity, but yeah, it's gonna be, otherwise it's gonna get replaced.
Is there a pole
But
there?
but it may not get, there's actually a pole both on Merchants Row and down, but there's two lights. It's the Merchants Row, and then because if you look, lights are at every intersection. And there's an intersection, there's two roads, because it goes down and they have a road that goes off to that way, so there's a pole there. There's actually two lights for that particular subdivision. But he could do CMP, because it has to be in his name, because the whole point is that we don't know whether or not it's gonna pass.
Right. Oh, who's gonna be doing it?
I would hope it would.
Well, I'm just saying, I would too, but the people could say no. I mean, they have before.
Yeah,
So the people could say no, in which case, somebody's paying the electricity bill, but we aren't, because it's still a private road.
that's true. Okay.
I don't know about the one on Merchants, because it's kind of on Merchants Road. The pole is on Merchants Road, so I don't know whether that's kind of a gray area, but I would hope the people would pass it, because I think but this is Lebanon.
It is. Oh,
So,
Let me draft it. I'll send it out to you guys to review, and then we can vote on it Thursday night after we listen to it.
okay,
okay.
sounds like a plan.
Now we give him 7 days from,
Yeah, that's fine.
if he's already working with an engineer, it shouldn't be a problem to finish it.
Yep.
And it hasn't snowed recently, so.
I think we might be done. I think, fingers crossed. Legs crossed, fingers crossed. So the cemetery is an Amy question, because I gotta make sure how we write that. The citizen petition is that, Maple Estates is fairly simple.
Okay.
Well, Amy's had the cemetery one for a while, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if she's looked at it, but yeah, she has. I can reach out again.
Just say, hey, we gotta do something here.
Was the order okay that we saw these, that you saw? The order, okay?
Yeah, I went through them all, I didn't see. I didn't catch.
Oh, on LD1, I did get an answer on that.
Yeah.
I'm becoming an expert, not that I want to be, but.
Well, this is great.
So, it talks about the property tax levy limit.
Yeah.
With a limit. And what the limit is essentially what they do is they take all your property taxes, but then they back out your homestead reimbursements and they back out all this other revenue sharing and all this other stuff that you get. So if you do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's better.
Well,
No.
but the levy limit is like, so last year's was like 931,000. You're thinking, well, that's awful small if we have a budget of 2 point whatever million.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you back out all this other stuff.
Right.
So then the new limit, and that's what I didn't understand. I'm like, where are they getting this 931 from? I just don't understand. And so the new limit is like 969. So which basically means, what that means is the difference between those is how much you can go up in taxes. So literally we can increase taxes by 37,000 and change.
Okay. And how do we figure that out?
That's it. That's what LD1 would allow us.
Taxes, so what does that mean?
That's appropriation. So don't forget, that's what you're appropriating. That's what you're appropriating for taxes, not necessarily what the budget is, but what you're. So again, you could have growth. You have more other revenues that come in from properties, whatever. But that's the difference. So obviously, an increase in the roads paving from 150 to 500, $350,000 is going to exceed that number easily. So again, there's really not a lot there to play with. So the bottom line is, yeah, you have to have that LD1 question.
And we have to put some kind of, like, estimate of what we think.
He doesn't. I mean, the one that's in there is what John recommends, because, and the thing is that he says that you do what's called permanently increase, because otherwise then you revert back. So you could go up for one, but then remember when I said then we would go back to this 9 something rather than use the new one, which means that it makes it even worse, which means almost next year you'd have to have a negative budget to get you back, which is one of the reasons that you do permanent. But no, because we don't know what the final number is going to be until you do the commitment. So you could do some people have done the limit. We'll put down what the limit is, the 969,000, but that number is meaningless to people. They don't know what that number means. You're asking for $3 million in your budget, but what is this 969? I mean, that's actually more confusing. They don't know what that number means. Because that number, they can mean, you can go up by 960. No, you can't go up by that. So what I'm saying, so again,
So we really can only go up how much?
$37,331. Without exceeding the limit. Now, that's not with all else being equal. That's come commitment in August when we do commitment. We have budget numbers could go up, right? Our budgets go up. But let's say we have new houses, so property taxes go up, we have more revenues. After you put all those all together, you figure out what your revenue sharing is going to be, you put all those together, that's the difference from the previous year can only be $37,331. So again, we haven't had that much growth in the town. That's going to offset what we're asking for.
Yeah, so 37,000 is not a lot of money.
Well, what I'm saying is, we don't, if we're exceeding by, call it 700,000 over last year, we have not seen $600,000 in property tax growth for revenues on the revenue side, not even close. And there's a fact that we're not even going to be, we're only doing it, not certifying at 95%. So we're going to get less revenues from CMP. So hopefully the growth that we've had at least offsets that. So we're not losing revenues.
I sure hope you got this down good so we can explain it to hearing.
Do you think it would help if we wrote something? Would that be better? I don't know. I sometimes wonder if,
I don't know how to write it without, because we don't have exact numbers and we won't have numbers until August. So exactly how much does this 95% certified ratio, does that hurt us? I don't know. I can't give them numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I realize I was just trying to explain the process of the
So I mean, the bottom, I guess the bottom line is that if you want this, is that you need to vote carefully on the spending. But if you want the spending, the additional spending in here, then you need to pass the LD1. Otherwise, that additional, especially the roads is the big one.
it is, yeah.
Because that's the biggest increase. That's the majority of the increase that we're seeing. So if you want the roads, if you want work done on the roads, then you have to pass the LD1. Because without the LD1 passing as well, the road's not going to get done. And this will probably happen next year too.
well, that's what I'm thinking.
This will probably happen again next year. Because again, we have not increased taxes for so long, and we have cut spending, that this is where we're at. Now they can say screw it and just, well, we don't want to. Then fine, then we don't.
Yeah, but that creates a whole nother.
Revenue sharing may help. So as far as our tax rate, it won't help the levy limit, because don't forget, the levy limit takes out revenue sharing. But right now, the law says revenue sharing is supposed to go to 5%. Currently, we're at 2%. That, if it goes to 5%, we're talking about the town receiving close to $300,000 more than we are this current year. The governor doesn't want to do that. The governor wants it to go to 2.5%. And that's because, again, the state doesn't like revenue sharing, because they want to keep the money at the state because they want to spend it. It's just the bottom line, that's how it is.
They already spent it.
Or they already spent it, but that's they don't want it to come back for property tax relief. Right. They want it to stay. So so I don't know where that's going to be. All I'm saying is that if we're lucky and it were to go to 5%, then we'd see $300,000 more, which means our spending, we would still exceed the limit, because how you do the numbers and you subtract out revenue sharing. But the reality is, it would be a much less. It would be a much smaller impact on us on our property taxes, because we get that much more revenue.
So my question, you gave me the low number on the levy, which was 9. What was it? The original.
Current year is 931,806.
931,806. Okay. And projected?
969,137.
Where did the 931,806 come from?
That was last year's.
Okay, but
So I got that from John.
how'd that one?
So I got that one from John.
Yeah. What made up that number?
So that's made up by it's made up off of your tax warrant. So again, you have municipal appropriation, 9.2.9. You have to minus, so local education is that, but then you minus revenue sharing, homestead reimbursement. We have 316,000 we get for homestead
That's gonna
reimbursement.
be less, isn't it?
You get Betty reimbursement, you have other revenues, 1.4.
Okay.
So you get all of that, you have to subtract that away from that to give you your number.
Okay,
So this is where all this comes from.
okay,
And so then to estimate the current year, you can put in what your appropriations are, which is from the budget that we just did. And then we estimate a lot of these to be the same, unless we know otherwise.
okay,
Okay, and revenue sharing, instead of revenue sharing, I think I used two. Actually, this was the previous year, so we had 285 in revenue sharing, and this year I'm estimating at 300. So I'm saying it's gonna go up a little bit, but not much. And that's it. Everything else I'm basically keeping the same. Homesteads, I mean, the homestead may go down, but that's not gonna change the number, because you're just trying to get an estimate. And so it's those two numbers that give you, it's the difference in those two numbers that give you the increase.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And like I said, we don't have anywhere else where it's been calculated, and so it's hard for us to come up with the best way that we can come up with a starting value is that way. That's how it is done in these. You know, this form doesn't go anywhere. You don't file the form with anybody. It's an internal form. You know, but.
Well, it's just kind of a way to help you figure it out.
Well, and that's why it's an estimate to see where you are. So the form's that way to see if you need to ask to go above it. So. Now, did we increase it in 05 and 06 and 07 and 08 or whatever? Did we increase the levy limit? I don't know. We might have. I haven't gone back to look at all those years to see how much the budget's increased and if we, would we have exceeded a number? I don't know. You know, my guess is probably in one of those years we probably won, if not more, we probably did exceed. We would have exceeded it if we had calculated it. I'm not sure what you do about it.
yeah, a little late now.
You know what I'm saying? And again, it doesn't make sense to, because there's an argument that people voted in favor of the spending, that it's not like the selectmen, whoever they were at the time, spend money that they didn't have permission for.
Correct.
They can say the voters said I could spend this, so it's just, so yeah, that's why I'm saying it's really kind of weird. And that happens, is that you could get people that appropriate these and say, oh no, I don't want you to increase that limit, without realizing what it means. And I think in our newsletter, that's where we can help write something
Now, would
fairly.
you put what the difference is here, or wouldn't you put that there?
I think you can do it in a public hearing. I think you can say it. I think you could maybe do it in the letter.
Yeah.
I think in the referendum newsletter, because basically anything over 40,000 is going to increase it. I just round the number from 37 just to make it a nice, easy number to,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I think that's, makes it so that people understand. So there's several things that it doesn't take much to get over 40,000.
No.
Insurance is close to that by itself. What are you gonna do, say no, and then you can't, then what do you do for insurance? I mean, it's just, it's, unfortunately, some of that is, a little hard for us to control. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think keeping it simple and not getting too far into the weeds helps
oh, no, definitely,
people
but
understand it.
the question's gonna come from somebody.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It's just nice to make it sound like you know what you're talking about.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Well, and again, without going into all the numbers, the bottom line is we can only increase by about 40,000. So if you don't want to approve all the budgets that are going to cause that to increase, well then you don't. That's going to put the town at an extreme disadvantage for a lot of things. you know, one, you're not gonna get your roads done that you wanna get done. You know, we're not gonna get assessing done that we need to get done. Which is a revenue, which is getting our revenues correct.
Which is gonna hurt us.
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of things. You know, you have costs of personnel issues, whether it be personnel or whether it be insurance and all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, yeah.
There'll be a certain percentage that will say no,
Yes, they will do.
and we know that. They'll say no to everything. But the sooner we fix the problems, the better off we are. The longer we let them go, the cost just goes up to fix them. It's not gonna make the cost cheaper.
You're right.
Same thing as the roads, it's not gonna make them,
No, I agree.
and I hate to say it, that road study was done last summer, before all these damn potholes. I hate to see what they would say if they were to come by this spring and do a road study.
Everybody's roads are horrible,
Oh, I know.
the potholes, it's terrible.
This season was really, really bad.
It's been bad everywhere.
But that's where it shows that if you have the cracks where the water can get in, that's what happens. If you don't have the cracks, or you seal the cracks, then you can actually save your road. But if you don't seal your cracks, you have a bad year like this,
Oh,
and
it's
it
bad.
totally kills it.
Washes them right up and
Oh, it's
water
awful.
flow right down through.
So a road that might have otherwise in a different year been fine, those cracks this year caused that road to basically fall apart.
Yeah, terrible.
I'm starting thinking every stone was snow and rain.
Oh,
Rain goes down the bottom and
Well, he cold, yep. So,
busted them out.
yep.
so we gonna go through these, is that what we're gonna do, and just see?
Yeah, I mean, we can, I don't care.
Well, I mean,
Did you guys check my numbers? I mean, did you
I didn't
check
check,
my numbers?
no, I didn't check it.
I could have typed something wrong.
You could have, but I'm not sure I have the most up-to-date numbers, so
That was
that's,
my concern.
so that's why I didn't.
I know I've been trying to keep up with them, I'm not sure I got them all up.
I mean, that's fine, because we can also do it in the budget committee. Because I tell them to make sure you check my numbers, to make sure you,
I know this is right for
Skip's very good to make sure the numbers are right.
Right.
He's very good at that.
this,
I mean, some of them are easy, but yeah.
this is right, cause I saw it somewhere,
Yep, the 23,992.
yeah. And I think,
That was more or less how he worded it, I didn't really change it very much. You okay with the wording on that one? We're on number 3.
yeah, oh, yeah.
So you have that crossed out, do you not think we should be voting on LD?
They don't, I don't know if they do other places, they don't know yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I looked, cause I didn't think they did. I mean, the residents do, obviously,
Right.
but as far as the
Budget
selection,
committee and the selectmen don't vote on it?
no. They haven't, maybe. But I don't know if they should, I have no idea about that, but I know they don't. Cause I looked at that. No, it's just printed there. Yeah, it doesn't say it. Well, they don't, they do on everything else, but not. They don't, so, but I don't know, I'm just saying, I know they don't.
Right. I mean, I don't think I don't see a harm in having both do it. Because it is kind of money related.
It is, I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, we could ask MMA if we should or shouldn't, or I don't know, maybe we could ask Joyce too, I don't know. But she has an open town meeting, so but still, they still have to vote on it by written ballot, so I don't know. So, I don't know,
Yeah. I can shoot him and make a question.
okay? So we both don't do it. No, it's just good to know. I mean, I don't know, do we have to, should we?
Right.
Customary, do people do that? I don't know.
So 3 was okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
4 again was pretty much what the chief put down.
Yeah, and that, yeah. I wonder if they'll go for that. I don't know. Yeah, that's the right number, right?
Yeah, for number 5 for that.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the wording on that? I mean, I didn't know how else to put it. To accelerate the
that's
current
fine.
assessing contract, which is what we're doing, right?
Yeah, sounds fine to me.
We're completing the new assessing system.
And maybe a little pushing on number 2, do you want to end up with a question mark instead of a period?
Excuse me?
Referendum 2, do you want to end up with a question mark instead of a period?
Yep. Okay.
Minor, I know, but just kind of stuff.
Yep. So 6 is, we had talked about, you okay with 20? For the streetlights?
Yeah,
I'm looking at 5.
Oh, 5, yep.
That's not really going to complete it though.
yeah, it isn't.
Right.
Well, just to accelerate.
Sorry.
To accelerate the current assessing contract. Yeah, we don't want to say that. You have another thought? That we have.
Well, it brings us into what's the wording for the,
So I put down, how about this, to accelerate the current assessing contract and new assessing system? Nope, and,
bring our ratio into,
well, I was gonna say, and implement the new assessing system.
I'm more interested in that ratio getting back to where it belongs. From the homeowner's point of view, reassessing is not going to do them any favors, except equality.
Right, so how about this, to accelerate the current assessing system and implement the new assessing system. The intent is to be at 100% evaluation as of April 1, 2020.
Yeah, I can't come up with anything better, so, right now.
So can you read that again?
Shall the town of Lebanon raise and appropriate $85,335 to contract with John E. O'Donnell and Associates to accelerate the current assessing contract and implement the new assessing system. The intent is to be at 100% evaluation as of April 1, 2020.
I like that.
Be able to certify at 100% valuation.
To be able to certify 100% valuation. So, shall the town of Lebanon raise and appropriate $85,000 to contract with John E. O'Donnell and Associates to accelerate the current assessing contract and implement the new assessing system. The intent is to be able to certify 100% valuation as of April 1, 2020.
So when they ask why you wanna do that, you can say we're losing money.
Right, and
Yep.
if we have
We're only
that,
at 95, and if this doesn't pass, we could be at 85 next
We'll be
year.
certified with 85 next time.
yeah.
Yep.
And we have that good write-up that he did. I thought that was very good to understand, so, you know, we'll just have
Well, I
to,
just noticed when he writes to us, everything's certified, that's why I just.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Six is fine, so if you need a question on
And so it's number 7. And I took this one right out of what we did before. So, and I even checked to make sure that MRSA didn't change. So,
it. Did the budget committee weigh in on the last one?
nope,
They didn't,
They
okay,
didn't. Did we? Did the select?
yes.
that's interesting.
They have weighed in before, I think.
They have.
But I think before, I don't know.
Yep.
I'd like to see him weigh in on this one.
What? The budget committee? On the town manager plan? Yeah, but the plan isn't money related.
I know it's not my way, but I'd like to see him,
But it would be, well, then why are we weighing in?
Because we weigh in on all of them.
We don't have to. We only really have to weigh in on financial ones.
Is that what it is for us too?
Yeah,
For selectmen?
well, yes. Yes. I was trying to read the. Yeah.
that being the case, I'm saying that neither one of them, either both or neither.
But we don't do that on all of them.
Well, they do weigh in on some things.
No, I'm saying is, I mean, if you go through, there's been other ones in here that, that they have been 7, yeah. So it says it's petition, we're not going through.
No, I don't think, no, I'm not.
So. So that's fine, so I mean, I don't think we can ask the budget committee, because then that sets a precedence to start asking the budget
Yeah.
committee for non-financial ones.
So just take us out of it.
So I think it'd be better to just take us out of it.
Yeah.
You agree? Town manager plan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I think it would help if we didn't make it.
All right, 8,
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just throwing this.
I put insurance in.
I know,
because-
but I think I would like to see somehow that it's stressed that wasn't in there before. I don't know how to put that unless somebody actually reads it. Maybe that would be in the letter, that we would express that.
What if I take the insurance out of that and then put down insurance is now included in general government as well?
I don't know, what do you think? Yeah, I just wanted it to, because if you read this and it's like, you know.
So basically, it'll be shall the town levy and vote to raise a blah for government expenses for the town office, including elections, assessing agent, and the selectmen wages and expenses. Insurance is now included in the general government as well. So that way, just specifically calling out insurance so that people understand that that's now part of it.
Because it's gotta, you know, you gotta.
Rather than just kind of including it in there, but really making it a
The
separate.
next year you can just do it.
Then you can just add it in there, right?
Yep.
Is that?
Hopefully, yeah.
So the building capital reserve fund, again, we'll have money in there, because that has to be a $10,000 project, so.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be more than 10,000, but, you know what I'm saying?
You have the balances what's in the funds already, right?
Yep.
They gave it to us.
Yep.
It must be in the book.
What is in the building then?
The building?
I'm just curious.
I think it's a question they're gonna ask at the hearing, so.
Building, we have currently $49,985.
Yeah.
And another 20 would put it up to roughly 70,000.
Yep.
But,
For major building repairs.
no, it's not out of here. I just realized that.
The vent,
That's right.
that's what.
That hasn't, because we went up to 20 versus the previous years, we were only at 10.
Because of the vent.
And we used, because of the vent system over at the fire station, which is probably gonna be about 30,000. So that's 50 down to 30, so it's realistically, we got a $20,000 balance. But
20,000 now with 20 going.
20,000 now, right? That being said, do we wanna keep this at 20, which is what it is now, or do we wanna drop that down to 10? Which is where we were in previous years. I didn't catch that before, but I'm just saying is that was a 1-year bump primarily because of that vent system.
I think we're gonna leave it.
Well, the only problem is, what if something happens?
Well, that's right. I
Well,
mean,
we know we got expense over to the Eastwood Station.
Yeah, we get it.
no, and just like the roof we had to do here, luckily
Yeah.
I got covered by insurance, but
Yeah, no, I agree. Leave it.
that's fine.
If it's a little bump next year.
That's fine. No, I just wanted to.
Yeah, no.
So the next one, I mean, we vote on it, we just abstain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah,
Do we want to modify this?
no,
Okay, because we don't know.
no, we're just gonna
Let
Move
it stay
move
there.
on.
On number 11, again, these are all exactly the same as last time. With question marks or without question marks.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
So again, we just thought, everybody just needs to double check the numbers and make sure I didn't type or, oops, number 15 needs a question mark.
Just see anything there yet. Yeah, it needs a question mark, alright. Are we on 12?
No, I'm already on 16.
Let's, no,
I'm just going down there. Yeah,
12, 50,000.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
13 is when I had the question on.
Yeah, is that the right
So
number
this is the new number that I got from Chief.
today, is that, or, no, that was?
No, that was based on the new contract.
That includes all the new numbers that's kicking around
6,000 for the installation cost,
in the
as well
1,800.
as the fee for the tower.
In the 1,800 for the,
No, 'cause that's built into that 54,000.
right, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, so that's already in there,
That is in there.
Okay.
That's what I'm,
all right.
Yep. Yep. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
okay.
So that is 54,253 for the services, 3,900 for the repeater, and 6,000 for the radio services.
And it goes up over the period of 5 years, it goes up almost, what?
3%, 3.5%, something like that.
Yeah, so it's almost $10,000 more by the time we get to the 50
Well, and again, that's because they're putting in that,
COLA.
they're doing a inflation, but they're also putting in the radio into that number. So that 18,000, they're breaking it up by 1,800 a year.
Yep.
So it looks like if we, after 5 years, if we wanted to get out, it would cost us $9,000. So. Which I don't.
One expensive radio.
Well, the thing is, if we're buying the radios and we're paying for the install, then why aren't we getting to keep them? Or, quite frankly, why aren't they buying it back from us if we get out? In 5 years, we've paid half and we've paid half. If we get out, why are we paying them for the rest of the radios? We don't get them.
No, you're right.
I'm just saying. They're not leasing them just to rent, they're gonna go back, they lease to own, they lease to purchase. But that means they get to keep them and we're gone. Thank you very much.
Right.
Now, I don't know what the life of the radios is. If the life of the radios is only 10 years, but my guess is they're probably longer than 10 years.
So what was the price of, I don't have my book here. What was the price for Wells? It was 73, right?
70, yeah.
Right. I mean, 18 is built into that number, so that 53 is including the 18.
So it's still a good deal.
So yeah, it still is. But
I hear what you're saying, but
my point is I don't like the exit, I wouldn't mind trying to see if we can't, and again, the deal's not done yet, but I wouldn't mind seeing if at 5 years it's done. We've paid half and they get half, because they're retaining ownership of it. We're the ones who will pay the install, which is fine, because they're for us. But you can't tell me that if we were to leave, those radios aren't gonna be used. They'll be used.
well, there's no harm to ask, but still it's a good deal if we end up having to pay the 9,000.
Yes, it's still,
Over
it's
Wells.
still better than Wells, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But I'm just saying, I don't like having to pay for equipment that we don't get to keep.
Right.
That's not
Right.
ours. Contingency is 50, which is the same. Codes and land use. So it's 15.
Yep.
16.
Nothing here on 15? Okay,
What do you want?
all the numbers are good there?
It's mostly personnel. That's mostly the increase in Jen's wages.
I understand that,
Right. What?
okay. We're good?
I'm missing something.
Okay.
Oh,
Are we gonna talk about it, or?
do we want to change the numbers there for training?
Oh,
We're a little slow today.
Well, I thought,
No.
I thought I was the last person on this one, so I was like,
no, I had written that down on another sheet and I didn't put it on this one, that's why I lost it.
okay. just so we talked about it again.
Understood. Are we comfortable where we're at for training for those departments, or are we?
It's very hard to justify the $1,000 increase, so I'm happy where it is right now.
I'm happy where it is too. Figure it out.
Okay,
Alright,
yes,
okay. 16. No spray, that's what it is.
it just certainly
That's the
is.
contract. The downside, if they vote it down, we still have an ordinance, and so,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not really sure how that works, but, yeah, so. 17. My only question is, it says, which includes the annual festival, do we need to continue doing that? We did once they took it over, but I mean, do we need to always continue saying which includes X for the annual festival? Or we just leave it as for the Live and Rec department, period, or question mark? Tell me what you really think.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's nice that it says the
That's fine.
festival, so
That's
people
fine.
know that whether the dollar amount needs to
Yeah.
be there, I don't know. But, you know, I guess,
I mean, we could say which includes the annual festival without the dollar amount.
I mean, I don't know, or we can leave it there, I don't care, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Because that's what I do.
Well, I guess my question is, and it's kind of after the fact now, with the festival itself is not self-supporting then.
That's correct.
No,
So the rental that we're getting for the property doesn't cover the,
oh gosh, no,
It hasn't for the last
No.
few years.
no,
well, I know originally we were funding it to raise money to pay for the centennial.
right. And then we gave the, historical money.
Right.
Cause the historical actually did the centennial one,
But they were doing a lot of the space they were giving to residents for free.
yeah.
Which
So-
I think this year she's not. I think she's gonna do a pretty minimal cost.
Yeah,
$1,000, something like that.
to try to, I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
It's good for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand where the money goes.
To pay for whatever she hires, like entertainers.
Yeah, all the
or
different entertainment, the bouncy houses, all that stuff. I
stuff,
mean, those
whatever
aren't
she
cheap. I mean,
has
that's,
to,
you know, different things for, you know, some of the vendors. I mean, the vendors not as much, but, she had a band last year. I don't know
Yeah.
whether she's paying them something a little bit.
yeah, I think so.
So,
Just to give them some money to work with.
right.
Leave it as it is.
All right. 18?
That's the right
an ouch.
number.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah,
That's the right number with the current recycling method.
I kinda think we have to do that, cause we don't know.
No, definitely.
Yep, I mean, that's up $46,000. So that alone is already, you know what I'm saying, over that 40,000 that I said. And that's because of recycling. You know, so I mean, I don't, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
but yet you got a budget for that,
Yeah.
because if we put out a referendum that says people say I still wanna recycle, well then,
Right. No, you definitely gotta do
you
that.
gotta be able to do
we don't
that,
have a choice, I don't think.
$500,000 to get rid of your trash.
so.
Yep.
Highway department, is that, highway department? And that's up a little bit in different areas. I mean, that's up 44,000 over last
And
year.
you have wealth of good information.
So I'm just saying, but that's, we talk about things have gone up and where does that 700,000 come from, but,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that department got cut, slashed way back. So, and go drive around town and see what the repercussions of that. Capital reserve is the paving. So I put in here for the purpose of road reconstruction and paving of town-owned public roads. So the road reconstruction helps
well, you've got,
broaden that a little bit more
you gotta,
than just blacktop.
Yeah.
So 21. Again, that's the bridge, which is what I've been doing. 22 is the NIAID, although now renamed the Salmon Falls Watershed Protection Capital Reserve Fund. Fund to be used for the protection of the Salmon Falls watershed, which includes Northeast Milton, Milton and Spalding Ponds. Current protection activity is European NIAID eradication efforts. I need to put down so that people might not know what it
they're
meant.
gonna okay, yeah.
Is that's a new one, so I just want to make, is that wording okay? So.
Yeah.
23, fire EMS.
That's right, isn't it? Or,
Yep. That's on his new number, yep. '24 is money for a fire, CIP for fire truck.
and, question. So, were we doing, we doing fire truck and ambulance, are we separating those now?
Yes,
But we're not doing ambulance this year?
that's correct,
Okay, that's what I thought, okay.
that's correct.
So this is just for a fire truck, and then next year, hopefully,
We probably ought to, at least 1,000 or something, at least to get it started, to get them, but yeah, I mean, maybe more, but
it needs to be more than that.
I hear you.
I know, just,
I hear you. It's just money, right? Just for money.
okay.
Protective clothing,
Yeah,
communications, and SCBA.
yeah. Okay.
Then 28 is for equipment, fire EMS equipment. Martha Stewart Library. GA. Relief.
Those are all numbers,
Yep.
right?
Yep. $32. Same. 33.
Now, this is,
That's the same, but
this is like, does this include Forest Grove now?
nope.
Should it?
It shouldn't be a major change this year,
Okay,
because the town pays half as it is, and the other half comes out of the,
okay,
the,
yeah. I know.
Fund.
Yeah,
The fund.
okay,
I got property abatements in my mind, that's not the case.
Right.
But that, I mean, that's.
So there's money there that would,
There is money
be
there.
turned over to us. I mean, we could, the issue is that we couldn't spend it. Because we can't spend that without authorization. I don't believe, can we?
Well, some of that money is from
Well, actually,
sales, from
Well, actually,
sales.
the trustee would be spending it, not, because that's not really town money.
No, by me, yeah.
So you're taking money out of the funds which is for you as a trustee.
Right.
For the maintenance of the cemetery.
Right.
If those funds get transferred to the town, let's say the town accepts those funds still are gonna be governed by a trustee. Those funds are not town of Lebanon funds.
Right. Some of it's perpetual care, some of it is,
But my point is, the
Sales.
spending of those funds does not have to be approved by the voters because it's not controlled by the voters. It's controlled by the trustees. no different than the cemetery we have right now. If we have to use some of that money, we don't have to go to the voters to approve it, the trustee has to approve it.
Who was who?
For the perpetual care part of it.
Well, any of those funds for that cemetery
Yeah.
that are in trust, that are in a fund, that has a trustee involved. Because I don't believe the selectmen, the selectmen aren't trustees.
Mm-mm.
You don't have a trustee right now for the cemeteries, do you?
Right. Well, we do, but
We
he's no longer here.
Well, he's still
He's still a trustee.
a
I don't know how-
resident, does that
Yeah,
matter?
I don't know. I don't know if that changes over to the new treasurer automatically. Probably, there's something else we probably ought to be looking at is probably paperwork to
Write that
transfer.
down. Write that down to Amy, or whoever we're asking.
I remember reading something that the court has to transfer the funds from the Association of Perpetual Care to wherever it's going. They have to sign up on it because it is controlled, so, yeah.
I'm just saying, but I guess my point is to use those funds for mowing. If we needed to use a 500 or 1,000 or whatever it costs to do that portion of the mowing, that whoever the trustee becomes would be able to authorize that spending. That doesn't have to get authorized by the voters. That's my point.
Can we combine both of them in one, or can't we do that as a trustee?
As of right now, it's what again, this might have been from day one, is that we should have a cemetery board of trustees here in town that governs all the cemeteries in town, and you may have this perpetual care fund and this cemetery fund and this cemetery fund, but basically it's all in the control out of the same board.
That's what I wondered, can we combine that so they're in charge of?
I mean, I don't know, I think you can, whether you can commingle funds and all that kind of stuff. That's where it gets real messy, and you may have to go to the courts to get the courts to sign off on it.
That's what I'm guessing, yeah.
But I think you can have there's something that says you can't have the same trustees handle all of them. So, I mean, you had what, three trustees, correct?
Yes.
The board of trustees, so you had three.
Something we had 5, two dropped out, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether those are probably appointed by the selectmen
I don't know.
or elected, I don't know. Unless I want them elected, but
Yeah, that's a good point, but anyway, okay.
that's a project I gave to Paul, but Paul put on the back burner. I don't know why. He's not doing anything else, right?
We got put it on the back burner because I figured when we did it, we might as well do all the cemeteries at once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
To do it for one, then have to turn around and pick it up one, and then.
Yep. All right, 33.
Yeah.
And again, those are
Yeah.
same ones we've always used. 34, we already talked about all the dates.
So do we wanna leave the interest at 8%?
Where's 8%?
34.
Oh, that's right, you said we can go to 9, right?
Well, we can, we don't have to. I mean, that, we can go up to 9% set by the state, but, I mean,
I'm
I think
I'm okay
eight.
with 8.
I think 8's fine, okay,
I think 8's fine.
yeah,
8's steep enough.
yeah.
35, shall town levy vote to place any excess expenditure from the prior year, new and sign, that's fine. And 36. Oh, no, that's right. Shall the town levy vote to authorize funding at last year's level, which is 18-19.
That's current year, right? That's what.
That's the current year,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
And these are the ones that we had last time, so general government, emergency, code enforcement.
We need
It
to
should be,
change,
we need to say codes and land use. Right?
yeah.
Who the hell's beeping at me?
I don't know, probably
Oh, so what's this?
me talking. Shush. So my question is, to fix this, because we have this big discussion every year, that, whose new appropriation is not approved by this year's referendum vote until such time that any new funding is authorized before the next tax commitment. So does that make us, I guess, you know what I mean, we have this talk every year, does that, because lots of times we've never done anything.
Right. The next tax commitment, though, is in August. So if this, in June, that means you really need to do something by August.
Well, does it make us, I guess is probably what I want to ask, because that seems to be the conversation every year. You know, does this make you? Do you know what I mean?
One could, well, is it open to interpretation? Perhaps.
Oh, that's all we do.
All it is. But all I'm saying is it says, it authorizes us to use last year's funding until the next commitment, which would be August. Which means after August, after commitment, last year's funding will run out. Now you've got zero funding.
Okay. That's all I'm asking is to,
I mean, it says it authorizing funding at last year's.
until such time that new funding is authorized before the next tax
That's why I think
commitment.
they put that in there, is because that means you have to get it done by commitment, which is
So you
August.
believe it means we have to do it?
You have to get it done
Because
by
I think
August.
that's what people
Yeah,
want you
yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Which means also that it will be a special election, and it will be a town meeting style, not secret ballot.
Not
Because-
necessarily.
Because I'm not sure you'll have enough time.
Well, that's true. Well,
But it could be a paper ballot at the meeting.
No raise of hands.
no.
When you do it at school, you just write on the paper yes, no, and throw it in the box.
That's to determine what the amount is, and then they vote on it again. Then we vote to validate it. So we vote on it, like in June, like at the May one, we will, yeah,
Vote on it here.
we'll vote on it here, but we vote on it there to determine the number. Then you still have to vote on it again for the school to
People
say
still
yes to the
do that
number.
through secret ballot, so that's
Yes.
not, this is the regular town meeting style, show of hands. If it's too close, you need to have it written on a piece of paper to count it up. If it's too close, you can do that, but it's basically a show of hands.
Yeah, well, that's up to the selectmen.
And it's up to the, right, it's up to the selectmen, but again, my guess is that you're gonna run out of time.
I hate that. Because everybody doesn't get to vote, and I hate that.
I agree.
You know, now with the 60-day thing, that's the problem.
Yep.
Because I was trying to figure that out. As long as this passes, it'll be okay though. This part. That we, well, no.
No, it doesn't, no, it doesn't. I guess you, like I said, basically all this does is get you interim funding until you have another election.
So you almost have to really kind of plan on it just in case. Or have your ducks in a row. Kinda.
Because again, I mean, 60 days, I mean,
Yeah.
June 6th is June, July, August.
June 11th.
June 11th, I mean, so July
And-
11th, August 11th.
Mhm.
That's 2 months. And you
That's
don't even have time for the referendum questions, and if you're gonna do a secret ballot, then you gotta bring the budget committee in so that they can give the
Well,
recommendations.
I think you would have to anyway.
Right, probably have to anyways. So you have to have meetings to figure out what's your new budget gonna be.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that doesn't just happen overnight. So. You know, the only thing with the town meeting is the people that are there, at least everybody gets to hear the explanation. Versus secret ballot, people don't hear. You can, even though if you hold a public hearing,
Right,
not everybody goes.
no,
50 people out of 1,000 go, so you can't, but
But because nobody knows when the next tax commitment is going to be. From the layman's resident's point of view, does it hurt to put a date in here?
Well, we don't know when it's gonna be. I mean, we know it's been late in the past years.
We could say September 2019.
Yeah, but you don't know, because again, we could commit later. If, depending on, you don't want to, but
No.
depending on the election, you may have to move things out. I mean, they did what, late September one year, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem, is that depending on what may happen, that may get pushed out.
You will be on October 1st.
I mean, again, you could do that, but I'm not sure, I don't think you wanna put a date there.
I don't either, because we don't know.
Yeah, you can reference during public hearing, we can, again, the referendum question, the question that'll be sent out, we can say,
Well, it seems so same argument comes up all the time.
It does, every year.
Because they don't
That
understand what that
makes
is.
you do it.
You say you can just hold that number forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
They don't get that,
Yeah.
that part, that's the reason
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying it.
now you could have a board of five say, no, that's not how I interpret it, I interpreted that we don't have to do anything.
This is true. So I don't know.
And nothing will change unless somebody sues the town or does something.
Oh,
But that's my point, is.
yes.
I mean, the way this is worded, it authorizes funding until the next tax commitment. And as of June, the next tax commitment is August, September timeframe. August is when we do it. So that's the next tax commitment, so. After that, the funding, by the way I read it, the funding goes away.
We don't commit taxes that year.
Huh?
We don't commit taxes that year.
Well,
Yeah, yes, that's right.
hopefully after Wednesday we'll get a kind of feel for things.
So,
Whether it feels good, doesn't feel good.
all right,
All right, back to what you asked me.
yeah.
Title 30A, blah, 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 contains 3 requirements that apply in a secret ballot referendum if the article requests an appropriation of money. The requirements apply to articles as they appear both on the warrant and on the secret ballot. They are: the article must be accompanied by a recommendation of the municipal offices, section blah, blah, blah. This appears to be required even if the recommendation is none, which might be inappropriate if a majority of the municipal offices could not agree on a recommendation in the case of a petitioned article, which we usually don't make a recommendation. If a town has established a budget committee by an article or ordinance adopted by town meeting or by charter, the budget committee's recommendation on the article must be printed along with the recommendation of the municipal offices.
So that's appropriation, which was key, which town hall is not no money is being appropriated for that.
No.
No. Yeah, okay, but that.
Quite frankly, even at $12 an hour, no money is being appropriated for that.
Yeah, but we've always, yeah.
I know we always have, the general government is where it's budgeted for, that's where it's appropriated.
I'm just gonna highlight this in case I have to look for it. It's here. Well, there's no tabs. I have tabs on mine at work, but anyway. So yeah, that's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as Maple Estates, that's the one we're gonna have to add.
Yep.
And Forest Grove,
Maple,
obviously.
another citizen's petition, possibly in cemetery.
Are we gonna, you think we're gonna have the cemetery one done? Okay.
As long as looking at this back to us.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him.
And MMA, remember?
And May 1st one.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll get a new one of these on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll do a new one. I'm gonna probably be here in the morning to do some work before I head up to Portland. So, I'll probably get this done tomorrow morning. So I can actually I'll get the other citizens one in here, drafted, put this in here too.
The Legion one?
Yeah. I'll take
I
the
think
whole
that's
first
gonna be,
page.
I know, I think it's gonna be very hard to understand, but anyway.
Yep. It is what it is.
Well, it is. It is what it is.
Yep. And then non-binding, I still just have recycle, police, and then road study.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mhm. What did you say?
Recycle, police, and the road study bond. How they wanna pay for,
Oh, that's right. That's the one I was missing.
how they wanna pay for it. A bond or whatever they
Or
want to,
doing what we're doing?
or increase the budget to 750 or increase it to, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have to figure that out.
Okay.
Nothing else for tonight myself.
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
7:36.